Exciting edition of Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. On this edition of the program, Rivers Super has signed another top star ahead of the basketball league. And coming in for the world of tennis and the African Games, Haruna Quadri wins Nigeria's second medal. In football, Manchester City and Real Madrid are into quarterfinals of this year's UEFA Champions League. Details of these and many more will be yours when we return from the break. Stay with us. Atlantic Television Network, and I have with me Michael. Nice to have you, Michael.
Good morning, and good morning to sports fans out there this morning.
Let's get started. Of course, we'll start from the local scene where Rivers Hoopers, of course, the basketball team of Rivers State, Nigeria, will be getting set for the basketball league coming up in just about a few weeks from now in Senegal. John Watkins, we understand, has been signed to join the team ahead of the basketball league. This is impressive. You want to say, Michael, the other day, this is almost the third foreign player that will be joining Rivers Hoopers ahead of the basketball league.
Yes, of course, I think it's a nice preparation for Rivers Hoopers ahead of the ball that is coming. I think for me, this has been a good preparation for them as well. Acquiring another top experienced player out there, I think it will go a whole long way to add more flair, to add more strength to the squad, to Rivers Hoopers squad as a bid to take part in the BAL game that is coming. And this is a player that also have traveled far and wide. He has garnered all the experience, and a son of a former, basketball player as well, a French-born American who also represented Morocco. I think he understands the terrain. I think for me, this is a good addition, making it the third player that the Kingsmen has acquired so far. I think for me, this is a nice development for Rivers Hoopers.
Watkins, one man who has played in Belgium, France, Morocco, and Germany. Definitely, in my own words, is a journeyman and will should add color and quality to basketball being played by Rivers Hoopers, and hopefully they will do their best for a decent representation at the forthcoming basketball league. Very third edition here in Africa. Away from how Rivers Hoopers are preparing for the basketball league in Africa, we'll look at one or two results coming in the early hours of this morning from the NBA. Washington Wizards 109 playing at home, lost to Orlando Magic that scored 119 points.
I think it was a disappointing one for the home side, because I hope that they should have built up to that momentum of their last victory coming into this game, but it wasn't to be, as they resorted to going defensive instead of offensive in their home ground out there, thereby giving them that lapses out there. For me, I think they just need to wake up and start getting the needed result as it stands right now, because in the NBA, if you take a look at their standing, they are not in a very, very decent position out there, and I expect them to be getting all the victory so as to complement themselves on the position right now. But it was quite unfortunate for their home fans out there who couldn't smile home with a win.
Atlanta Hawks played at home were winners because they beat Cleveland Cavaliers 122 points to 101 points.
That was a good one for Atlanta Hawks out there, beating the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think it was a great result for them out there as they try to push if they can be able to at least make it to the top 5 when you talk about the Western Conference.
Well, talk about results, especially in the Eastern Conference. It was a struggling Houston Rockets because they lost at home 116 points. So LA Clippers 122 points.
Houston Rockets have actually struggled this season. I don't know what seems to be the problem. Immediately after the game, the coach was talking about the fact that they need to inject some new flair and new players into the squad. He also complained about some key members of the squad that is a wave to injury as a cause of their, dwindling performance for this season. But for me, I think the coach just need to get his act right and find out what seems to be the problem and look for a solution so that at least they can also, start giving their fans, joy out there.
Well, let's hope that Houston Rocket fans will be happy again after struggling there, especially this season. Meanwhile, Philadelphia 76ers, no longer the foe you want to think, because Memphis Grizzlies beat them, at home, 109 points to 115. Memphis Grizzlies, ordinarily, if you are going to Philadelphia, Philly, if it is normally called, should panic. But they did it because they had nearly 6 points win over Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah, for me, I think that killer instinct, that fear factor is no more there for them, and that is why team just go there and just coast home all the victory without them fighting back. Though they tried to fight back into the game in the fourth quarter, but then it wasn't to be. So I think for me, they have actually lost that fear factor we used to know of them, and that is why teams are taking advantage of this. When they go out there, they are not under pressure. They just make sure that they, get their job done and just knowing fully well that that fear factor is no longer there for the home side.
What seems to have happened in the NBA only recently, and just a couple of hours, we are told that Oklahoma City Thunder forward Bismack Biyombo collapsed, while standing, during the second quarter of the Wednesday night's game at Portland Trail Blazers. This looks very disturbing, but it looks to be stable after the collapse.
Yeah, very, very worrisome. But just the good news that we are getting is that at least he's resuscitating getting back to normalcy. I think that is the only positive that we can derive from this one. That at the end of the whole collapse, at least we can also be very, very confident that he's going to bounce back earlier than expected. But we wish him well.
Well, Biyombo, one man who has played in the NBA for 13 years, should be back any moment soon, because the doctors are giving him all clear signal, but they will have to still conduct further tests today and see how stable he is. In fact, when he collapsed, a wheelchair was brought in, but eventually the wheelchair was not used. He had to really leave the court on his own, but let's hope that he will tick all the right boxes by the medics, and he'll be back. Like I said, 13 years on the play for the NBA, and I'm sure his team should be any moment getting better. Thunder's prayers are with him at this time, and we hope that he will bounce back very soon. Away from basketball now, let's get to how the Nigerian cricket team are preparing ahead of the All-African Games coming up in Accra, Ghana. The male cricket team, the Yellow Greens, we are told have been involved in some kind of high performance preparations.
Yes, of course. We could also notice that they took part in the just concluded T20 here in the country, where they actually squared up against some of the big teams, Rwanda and the rest of the team. And of course, they came second in that very one. So I think they did pretty well to ensure that at least they finished on a high note, taking such a good performance to the All-African game out there in Ghana. We expect them to do well. We expect them to complement on their good performance in the just concluded T20, championship here in Nigeria. Going into that competition, I think the players are in top shape, and of course, you listen to the coach out there talking very tough, saying that they are very, very ready for this one. And I assure you, if they can actually continue with the momentum that we've seen them, that allow them to come second in the just concluded T20, then we can be rest assured that the cricket team of Nigeria is definitely going to go out there and make a mark for themselves and also for the country.
Talking about the cricket team of Nigeria making a mark for themselves, they have to do that amongst strong teams from Ghana, Tanzania, Rwanda, Kenya, Uganda, and Namibia. We understand too that South Africa and Zimbabwe will be their foe at the African Games. In the women's event, which starts today, the female Yellow Greens are in Group A alongside South Africa, Namibia, and Tanzania. They just have to qualify from this group.
Yes, of course, they just have to qualify from this group. But then taking a look at their ranking, I think the Nigerian team is the lowest ranked team among all of the teams heading into this one. But then, for me, I don't think that ranking will have anything to do in this one. It boils down to the dedication. It boils down to the commitment of the players out there, to go out there and get the results. And for me, I think they have a chance to at least get a positive result out there.
Yesterday we talked about them Effiong winning the first medal for Nigeria of bronze color. Just a few hours thereafter, we saw Haruna Quadri win the second medal in table tennis for Nigeria. The highest ranked player from Nigeria in Africa as well won the second medal for Nigeria at the ongoing 13 African Games in Accra, Ghana. What color was the medal, Michael?
I think for me, getting silver in that very one against Masa, I think it was quite disappointing. Looking at the standard and the aspiration of Haruna Quadri, who was hoping to at least break that jinx by, winning the only trophy that is missing in his cabinet out there. I think for me, I was quite disappointed, of failing to Umar Asai again this time around. Don't forget, in 2015 as well, he also fell to this same Umar Asai 3-4. I think for me, I expected Haruna at this point in time to also up his game to ensure that at least he cleans the gold medal and get a pound of flesh against Umar Asai in yesterday's game, but it wasn't to be, and as he also fell to the same margin which he also was defeated in 2015 3-4 this time around. I think I'm very, very disappointed in the result. Not disappointed in the fact that we were able to get one or two medals, but disappointed in the sense that Haruna Quadri could not lay his hand upon the only medal that is missing his trophy cabinet. I think for me it was a great game. It was a keenly contested encounter for that matter, but then Umar Asai had a better part of Haruna Quadri. At 32, I don't know whether in 4 years to come whether Haruna Quadri will still be very, very effective, to also give it another final shot. But for me, I think this is part and parcel of the game. It's either you win or you lose, but in all of it, we have to take it, and apply the sportsmanship spirit.
Haruna Quadri looking for a gold medal in his cabinet all of his 32 years, because he's actually not gotten that medal from the All-African Games. Let's hope that he will be lucky next time. But in the game decided yesterday, it was 4-3 in favor of Umar Asai from Egypt, one man who has been a perennial foe to the Nigerian Haruna Quadri. It's a lot of people talked about it yesterday, saying it has to do with the level of competition from the Egyptians. That's why they are always having an edge over Nigeria. I hope the Nigerian table tennis authorities are looking at why the Egyptians are always having an edge over us, in course of top level competition. Let's stay away from all African Games now and look at how some other tennis players are preparing, and this time lawn tennis players. Emma Kanu is not too concerned about tournament results. You remember about 2 years ago we saw Emma Kanu come from the SA Flash, and of course did win the US Open, but thereafter she's been struggling to qualify for stages of both the Grand Slams and the WTA events. Right now she's been away for nearly 8 months from injury concerns, but her return doesn't seem to be impressive.
Not very impressive at all, as she has already garnered only 3 victories out of her 4 major outings so far this season. I think for me that is quite disappointing for her. But then I think I will cut her some of the slack owing to the fact that she got injured away from the game for after a very long time. You don't expect her to come back into the court and hit the same form that we used to know. So, but she also made a very positive statement out there that her major concern this time around is just to make sure that he prepare herself, work on her game as well. She's not concerned about winning. What she's only concerned is about rebuilding her game and get back to top shape, to top gear where we used to know her. But for me, I think it has been a very, very turbulent and a very poor start for her. Only 3 wins from 4 major competitions are very, very poor.
Emma Kanu, winner of the 2021 edition of the Wimbledon, but thereafter has been finding it very difficult. Last year, she was only at the 4th round of the Indian Wells Championship. We just hope that she can improve this time around and get better with the Sunshine Games ongoing. Still talking about it and his level of participation from especially the British. Katie Butler has lost in the first round to Camila Giorgi. Butler was beaten in straight sets by Italy's Camila Giorgi in the first round at the Indian Wells, 2 days on from her victory at San Diego in California, where she did win the WTA 250 event.
Kaji Butler has been very, very consistent for me. He's one player that many times you look up to her to to also come to the party when it matters most. But she just crumbled like a pack of cards. Like I said, she has been very, very inconsistent, and that is the angle I was saying that she truly need to work on her game. She should just go back and work on her games, perfect her plans as well, so that she can be able to hit that top gear that we used to know her. But as it stands right now, she just needs to be very, very consistent. Of course, if you want to complement your stand in the world ranking out there, you need to show consistency, week in, week out, every game out there before you can truly, stand tall among the rest to be the likes of, Iga Swiatek, and the rest of the players out there.
While the females are preparing, the males are equally preparing. Jack Draper also lost in the first round, 6-3, 6-2 to Australian Chris Cornell. Chris Cornell should not, Jack Draper should not be losing to Australia's Chris Cornell, in my opinion.
Yes, for me, I think it was quite disappointing. Taking a look at their rankings, I mean, Jack Draper is far ahead of Chris out there. But then, sometimes you don't actually look at the ranking. It boils down to the commitment of the players in the court out there for them to prove a point to the world out there. So I think I did not see this, but then it happens. This is a game.
Let's get to boxing. That is just about 24 hours or so when Anthony Joshua of Nigeria, England, will confront Francis Ngannou of Cameroon in yet another heavyweight duet in Saudi Arabia. This is a much anticipated fight. It's been booked a long time ago. It is now with us in under 24 hours. Can the Nigerian British star upset, do I say, send Ngannou to where he belongs? A lot of people say yes, Ngannou is Ultimate Fight champion, and is venturing into the boxing ring. Should be stopped. Tyson Fury did stop him in the first fight after he floored him, but a lot of people believe that from what they saw against Tyson Fury, Ngannou, yes, could be one of the world's heavyweight boxers. Can he stop? Can he, stop the resurgence of Anthony Joshua in boxing?
Very, very possible. I must tell you. Looking at the last result, the last fight where Francis Ngannou actually made his professional boxing debut against the Egyptian King of Tyson Fury. We saw, his punching power. We saw the skills that he was able to pose out there against a very, very strong opponent such as Tyson Fury, where he actually knocked Tyson Fury down. But then he has to go down to some decision out there that didn't go in his favor, which many thought that that decision was very, very controversial. But then I think looking at the skills, looking at the punching power, looking at his jab and his body movement, it clearly tells you that this man Francis Ngannou, if Joshua do not trade with caution against Francis Ngannou might possibly hurt Anthony Joshua. I listened to their press conference yesterday. They were talking very, very tough. And I tell you, Anthony Joshua need to be very, very careful, coming up against, Francis Ngannou. Though one will say this is a ceremonial fight because no belt is involved in this one, but then the reputation of Anthony Joshua is on the line as he tried to come back from that, heavy loss, when he actually lost to Andy Ruiz and Alexander Usyk lost his belt twice out there. So I think Anthony Joshua, in his bid to revive his career, cannot afford to lose this massive fight. Though he has gained about 3 victories so far, at that confidence level is there coming into this game. But then he needs to be very, very wary against Francis Ngannou, who is hoping to get his first victory in a professional boxing fight. Less
than 24 hours to the ultimate fight between Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou. No belt is at stake, but it is a highly priced fight. Yes, highly priced in the sense that apart from reputation that is at stake, there's a lot of money at stake. One of the heaviest price you can ever think of in boxing. We understand that Francis Ngannou, the new entrant into heavyweight boxing, will earn as much as $20 million US. This is minus, pay-per-view levies and other additionals. While Anthony Joshua, a 3-time winner of the heavyweight belt in the different categories will earn as much as $40 million US. So over $60 million US is at stake in this fight. 20 definitely will be going the way of Francis Ngannou, win or lose. While win or lose, it will be $40 million US plus for Nigeria and British boxer Anthony Joshua.
Massive monetary incentive that comes with this very one. I think it's a great one for Ngannou. Whether win or lose, at least he has the opportunity or the ability to, smile to the bank, because this one comes with a huge amount of money, 20 million US. That is very, very massive. It's about twice double the amount he got or he received in his first professional boxing fight against the Gypsy King, talking about Tyson Fury. I think this one, we definitely want to motivate Ngannou to go for the killer, to go for the jugular against Anthony Joshua. But in all, I think it was a very, very heavy financial incentive that comes with this very one.
Heavy financial incentive coming in the fight just 24 hours from now. We wish the boxers the very best of luck. Time for us to take a break, and when we return from the break, it will go into the ever-busy world of football, especially the UEFA Champions League, where Manchester City, Real Madrid are already into the quarterfinals of this year's UEFA Champions League. Crunch ties coming up in Europa League later tonight. All of the details when we return from the break.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on The Fact Today, only on ATN.
Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch. People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
you human trafficker.
Honorable they are not picking our cup.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Welcome back. It's Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network, and we're still keeping you up to the speed with the latest happening around the world of sports. And we told you earlier how Nigeria has won a second medal at the All-African Games. Its premiere is already underway in Ghana, and that is cheering Effiongedem and Aruna Kwari getting a bronze and silver medal respectively for Nigeria. Let's continue to look at top sporting stories and I'll bring you up to speed with them. And now we look at attention turns to Belarus and Russia. You are aware of their concern over the attack of Russia on Ukraine. It will affect them at the opening ceremony of this year's Olympic Games because the Belarusians and Russian para athletes have been banned from the opening ceremony. Michael, it's not getting over for Russia and Belarus when it comes to sports.
Yes, of course. No thanks to the Russian invasion of their neighbor out there, which have actually caused you know, a whole lot of chaos in the sporting world when it has to do with Russian athletes out there. And of course, their athletes will be competing as a neutrals in the forthcoming Paris Olympic game. And furthermore, the authority have also barred you know, some of these Russian athletes from not you know, being part and parcel of the opening ceremony or even the closing ceremony, courtesy of you know, the Russian invasion out there. So for me, I think it has been a very, very bad scene for the Russian athletes out there, that they need to pay for dearly for what their president is doing out there. You know, I think for me this is very disappointing, because most of these athletes also will be hoping to fly the flag of their color out there whenever they get for major tournament out there. If they majorly emerge victorious in any sporting category, in any athletic you know, court out there, their pride is also to flaunt their flag out there when it has to do with the international scene. But because of the Russian invasion, Belarus and Russian athletes out there is not going to fly their flag in this very one. It means that they are going to be competing as a neutral. So whatever they win is not going to be contributed to their country, neither are they given the opportunity or platform to fly their flag out there. I think for me, it's a quite disappointing one for the Russian athletes.
Well, quite disappointing, no doubt, for Russians and Belarusians at the forthcoming Olympic Games in Paris. Now they've been told that it can't be part of the opening ceremony, and I'm very sure there will be other restrictions as well for Russian athletes. It's common knowledge that they cannot fly the flag of their respective countries at the Olympic Games. We've seen them badge at several other sporting meets as well. Well, let's hope that the Russian government authorities will know what it takes to showcase the flag at major sporting fora. Meanwhile, we'll go to Formula One now, and talking about Formula One reminds me, there seems to be some level of controversy between Max Verstappen's father of recent, and the son has come out to say he did not lie in the wake of his claim that the controversy around Christian Horner is driving people apart. Christian Horner, of course, you know, is the head man of Red Bull.
Yeah, I think for me, this season Formula One has been marred with a whole lot of controversy, down from you know, the Red Bull angle of it, where the father of Verstappen is also talking very tough against Christian Horner, who is the chief principal of.
Interestingly, Max Verstappen is a known driver of Red Bull.
Yeah. Yeah, and so for me, I think this is going to be a very big distraction, and Verstappen has also alluded to this very fact that it's going to be a distraction for, you know, Red Bull out there. And of course, some fans out there will have a dissenting opinion on who to support at this point in time, and this is actually going to, you know, make some fans not to take much interest in Formula One again because of this controversy, because it does not only end here. There is also another controversy where we see the president of the FIA also being involved in one controversy or the other, where the whistleblower have actually come out with another, you know, issues out there, alleging that you know, the FIA president actually wanted to have you know, wanted to influence the outcome of a certain you know, punishment that was intended to, you know, to go to a certain driver out there. So for me, I think this season has been mad. This season Formula One has been mad with a whole lot of controversy. But let's hope that you know, Christian Horner, you know, is going to, you know, extricate himself out of this controversy out there. Of course, as it stands right now, he still remains innocent, I will keep saying, but then, you know, Max Verstappen has come out to also back the statement of the father earlier. But for me, I think let's hope that, you know, Red Bull and the authority is going to make everything possible to ensure that also wipe out all these controversies, so that it will not affect the performance of their drivers out there.
Well, talking about Red Bull and Honda, the chief executive, he's been accused of molesting a female colleague out there, and the Formula One authorities have come out to say he's been cleared of the accusations, but he continues to reverberate and around the Formula One season that is just getting started for 2023-2024. We just hope that these controversies will take backstage and allow for the drivers to enjoy themselves, you know, on the circuit. For away from Formula One and its controversy now, let's go to football. And talking about football this hour, we'll start from the local scene, where the Nigerian Premier Football League has slammed a fine of 3 million naira on Niger Tornadoes for breaching the NPL rule and framework on March 23. Niger Tornadoes failed to provide adequate security and effective security arrangement for their match, last weekend, and now they have to pay for there's a negligence or dereliction.
Yes, of course, this is the way to go. When teams go contrary to the extant laws that governs the game, they therefore bring a disrepute to the league as well, and also to other members of the board. I think for me is the way to go. Niger Tornadoes, this punishment is going to serve as a deterrent to other clubs who also will be thinking of bridging the extant rules that governs the game out there. Not providing adequate security on a match or its own is a crime, by the extant rules that governs the game, and also allowing unauthorized persons to come near to where they were not supposed to go. Also allowing your fans or even officials to encroach the pitch of play. These are acts that negate or work in contrast with the guiding principles of the game out there. So whenever any team goes contrary to some of these guiding principles that governs the game, they need to be punished dearly for it, so that it will serve as a deterrent to others. Because for me, I think nobody, despite your status or despite the ranking that you've gained for yourself in the NPFL, it shouldn't be above the laws. Because if we allow it to continue, then other clubs as well want to also toe that line by making sure they put up an act that is capable of jeopardizing the progress of the league.
Well, just hope that they will understand what it means. We are told now that officials in their match against Rangers was molested, and this is capable of bringing the game to disrepute, for which they will now have to pay a fine of 1 million naira for failing to provide adequate security, and of course another 2 million naira will now have to be paid for encroachment of their fans onto the pitch, and for general misconduct as well. Each of these offenses going with the sum of 1 million naira. And they have just 48 hours of appeal to accept the sanctions or do appeal.
Yes, of course, they still have a case for themselves, because the door is very, very much open for them to ventilate their issue out there, give their own part of the story as well. If there's any source in the story that they tender, then they'll be given a soft landing. But if not, then they have to pay this 3 million fine, so as to serve as a deterrent to others, like I said earlier.
Well, let's quickly now go to see what's the latest around.
Must, as a matter of must, pay the 3 coaching crew that he also come with. But the NFF, from feelers that we got, do not officially confirm yet, the NFF is also bidding to increase his salary from £50,000 to £80,000, which I think for me, dialogue is still ongoing. Dialogue and conversation is still very much open between these two channels, talking about Jose Pizarro and the NFF. But for me, I think having seen that Jose Pizarro have gone, I think it's time for we to look, for local coaches, they have a handful who can also take up this mantle of, leadership for becoming the national team coach, and also do the country proud as well. We have some experienced hands such as Emmanuel Amunike Aldi is an experienced coach. He has passed through the ranks. He understands the terrain as well. So this is the latest coming from the camp of Joseph Pizarro and the NFF for now.
Well, let's quickly now bring you some latest from the UEFA Champions League. Last night, we saw the emergence of two teams into the quarter-final stage of this year's competition. If you remember, just about 48 hours ago, we saw the emergence of Bayern Munich and the Paris Saint-Germain as the first two quarter-finalists. Now we have seen the second two, which is Manchester City and Real Madrid. Real Madrid last night struggled against FC Copenhagen.
Yes, of course, it was a hard-fought win for 14-time European champion. Talking about Real Madrid, they actually struggled in that very game. Their opponent actually came to the party, asked most of the questions.
RB Leipzig.
Yes, RB Leipzig. They asked most of the questions, and they were just that just like the first leg ended, they had lots and lots of chances to have also, equalized early or even scored a winning goal at the dying minute, where they actually piled the pressure against Real Madrid defense in the dying stage of the game, where the war was at 1-1. But then Real Madrid, because of their experience, they were able to hold on to the last minute of the game as they emerged victorious. It ended 1-1, but aggregate 2-1 sees them progress through to the last.
Well, talking about Real Madrid and their opponent RB Leipzig, it's really RB Leipzig. They were at least scored a goal in Madrid. They've never scored on all their visits to Madrid.
Yes, of course, it was a massive, groundbreaking, record for them. They're going to Madrid to get a goal. I think it was a very, very massive one. Not just getting a goal. I was very, very convinced and was very happy watching that game. It was competitive. Start from the blast of the to the end, to the last whistle. It wasn't a one-sided game, as RB Leipzig out there also came out to play. They played a very good game for me. It's just that, sometimes experience, and the brilliance of a certain player also change the course of a game. But I think the experience wasn't there for RB Leipzig because, like I said earlier, they played very brilliant. Giving most of the questions are there, even especially at the dying, minutes. Anthony Rudiger had to make two fantastic, defensive blocks out there to deny RB Leipzig of, even getting the win out there. So, a great performance from the point of RB Leipzig.
RB Leipzig trying their very best, but they couldn't get maximum points. They've never before in Madrid. At least this time around, they were able to score a goal. A lot of people are beginning to say that Real Madrid must do everything possible to get their marksman in Kylian Mbappe, because they play everything by putting the ball into the Achilles heel.
Yes, of course. I think Kylian Mbappe is that missing link out there that Madrid will be hoping to have into their fold this season, or next season rather. And for me, if they get to sign Kylian Mbappe, I think that would get the job done for them, because Kylian Mbappe, we know, is such a great player that have an eye for the. He can single-handedly win a game for you, because we've seen his quality is very, very fast, very, very flair, and he has an eye for the goal. He has scored about 46 Champions League goals so far, 25, doing such a great, performance. Quality of Kylian Mbappe, and of course, we will be rest assured that looking at the body language of Kylian Mbappe, is definitely coming to Real Madrid. It's just a matter of time. As last weekend, when he was subbed in the game, he actually went to the stand to sit with his mom. And immediately after the game, the coach was asked about the situation of Kylian Mbappe. He said that they are already planning life without Kylian Mbappe. So with all of this, it will tell you that Kylian Mbappe will certainly end up in Real Madrid. And of course, if Real Madrid get his services out there, that is going to be the final piece for Real Madrid that will actually help him to start getting the goals.
Man City is into the quarterfinal as well. They can't stop scoring goals, 3 against their counterparts from them and Copenhagen.
Yes, making 7 substitutions from the last team that played Manchester United over the weekend. They were able to also come top in that very one, winning convincingly 3-1. I think it was a massive display from Manchester City. The quality of this set Manchester City, tutored by Pep Guardiola, is never in doubt any day, any time. Whether Pep Guardiola start with second 11 or even start with Team B players out there, be rest assured that Manchester City will definitely deliver on your ticket for those who plays the white paper game. But then, I think for me, it was a great performance. But Pep Guardiola was as well very, very cautious about that game because they have a big one, coming up over the weekend where they'll be locking horns with Liverpool, and that is going to be a title decider because as it stands, Manchester City is just 1 point, adrift of the league leader, talking about Liverpool, and it's going to be a crunch tie where they actually face up with each other this weekend. So for me, I think it was a great performance from Manchester City point of view.
Well, the Europa League tries race for qualification into the quarterfinal 2 continues today, and it will be Sparta Prague against Liverpool. That is a very crunch tie. Liverpool trying to at least get to the title again. Can Liverpool away beat Sparta Prague?
Very, very possible. We've seen a certain Liverpool this season, despite the injury plight that they are experiencing in their first teams, of course, so far. We've seen a certain Liverpool with a whole of injury worries as well, also defeating Chelsea in the final of the Carabao Cup with, players that are barely, less than 20, secondary school boys, you may want to call it, but we've seen Jurgen Klopp used these rookies to actually get the trophy against Chelsea. And in their last game, they had to wait till the dying minute of the game before they were able to get all 3 points to keep, the momentum. So for me, I think Liverpool is in a pole position to go away and get the victory.
Well, say in the Europa League, while Sparta Prague will be at home to Liverpool, Slava Prague is away to AC Milan in one of the fixtures that followers of European football must keep an eye on. AC Milan, no doubt, will try to make home advantage count.
Definitely, with the likes of Rafael Leao, the likes of Pulisic as well, also very much informed Loftus-Cheek as well this season for AC Milan. I think AC Milan, with Oliver Giroud at the center forward, they have actually done pretty good this season in the Italian Serie A. They also have this understanding among themselves. There seems to be a rejuvenated AC Milan, for this season. So I think whatever happens, I see AC Milan, having a better part of their opponent tonight.
Roma will take on Brighton, and this seems to evoke some feelings amongst the man who's sitting on the bench. Definitely.
I think since, their coach came, their new coach came in, I think he has been able to tinker the team around and change the mentality. When Jose Mourinho, was there, they seems not to be getting the result, and that is why they had to, fire Jose Mourinho and brought in, their former, player out, and he has been doing extremely well since he came in. He has been able to change the tide, he has been able to change the narrative, getting the best out of the players, the likes of Paulo Dybala, the likes of Romelu Lukaku, scoring goals left, right, and center. So I think Roma have, find that form that they needed, all season long. So I see Roma having a better part of Brighton tonight, but then don't write off Brighton. If you do, you are going to do that at your own peril, because Brighton, is a very good card by the certain coach who also knows his onions.
Well, that will be it for this edition of Sports Talk. Definitely back at 6 p.m. Nigerian time for Sports Extraordinary, where we'll take an in-depth look at most of the fixtures at the Europa League and how take a peep as well how Manchester City will try to stop Liverpool from winning this year's Premier League. These and many more will definitely be yours when we return at 6 p.m. for Sports Extraordinary. Until then, remember, peace and unity are clearly pathways to progress. Always enjoy here on Atlanta.
From the line.